Coming up on today's episode, we're getting into a divisional round recap. What the losing teams going into the offseason, what they can do to improve. And we got some NBA news. Big trade happened to Miami Heat, bringing in Terry Rozier. We're going to go over that trade. And the Milwaukee Bucks firing their head coach after 43 games. Second place, all that and more coming up. Let's go. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Sports Talk from the Crib. I'm your host, Tanner Christian. As we say, we got a show for you today. We're getting to the divisional round recap, of this teams from this past weekend. There's some great games again. We had one blowout. We got one answer wrong and a little upset. We tried to pull, but didn't happen. But we had some great games. And we're going to have an exciting AFC, NFC championship game coming up this upcoming weekend. We're going to talk some basketball finally, some NBA. Miami Heat pull off a big trade, and Milwaukee Bucks fire their head coach. We're getting all to that. But first, remember, the new episodes are every Tuesday and Friday. It's available on all streaming platforms as well on the website at sportstalkfromthecrib.com. And be sure to check out our social media. We're at Feely Heat Entertainment. It's Feely Heat ENT. We're on Facebook, Instagram, X, and YouTube. So go give us a subscribe to those channels, follow, and get notifications. We're going to try and get some video up on YouTube. I know that's been a priority of mine here, especially in this last week. It's working up some final things for that. So we're going to start getting visuals up on YouTube that go along with the podcast. So you have a little bit of a visualization, So be on the lookout for that. It is coming. Okay, now let's hop into it. Let's get into the first topic. We're going to go over the Texans-Ravens game, and then go from there on the visual round, and then we're going to get into the NBA talk. So that's what's coming up. So let's get into it. Texans and Ravens. Ravens defeated the Texans 34-10, pretty much just shellacking there in the second half. Texans had a game. It was 10-10 at half. CJ Stroud looked okay. The Texans kind of trying to move the ball, but like I said when I come up, I was like, man, I want the Texans to get CJ Stroud. Do it, man. The rookie. Go ahead and get the win, in the closing moments, be knocking off Lamar Jackson, the potential MVP of the league this year. And it didn't happen, obviously. But it was a game there for a while. And what I covered when it came to this was, and it's what backfired the Texans, honestly. Remember I said they run a lot of cover four. It did bring in pressure at times quite frequently. But when they dropped back into those cover four, Lamar Jackson had all the room in the world to run. And then when he didn't, Zay Flowers crossing patterns across the middle. It took full advantage of it. It was my worry going into the game. Texans hung on there for a little bit, for a couple quarters, but then it was just too much. Baltimore. Lamar Jackson had 100 yards rushing, 2 TDs, 4 TDs on the day. CJ Stroud only threw for 175 yards. But going forward, learning experience for this Houston Texans team. They had a great year. They're not going anywhere. I believe they're still going to be a team to look out for in the AFC South, especially. CJ Stroud was just a rookie. This is his rookie year, okay? And he played phenomenal. I mentioned Nico Collins and him had a great, connection. Devin Singletary in this run game didn't work against Baltimore. It was kind of like the matchup equal their week one performance, That Ravens front was just too much for the Houston Texans offensive line. And bringing those linebackers in Patrick Queen, Roquan Smith, and then you got Kyle Hamilton in the back, play a safety coming up too. It's just like, what can you do with the personnel you have? So I believe the Houston Texans could have really hung into the game more, but there was this, every time it kind of seemed like they got something going, penalty happened, drop pass, third and short, can't run the ball. It was this, too much pressure on him. Like Nico Collins was open deep a few times. CJ Stroud has had too much pressure on him and couldn't get him the ball. So opportunities were there, but they weren't capitalized on. And going forward, That's what obviously they have to work on. They got to work on the trenches. So going into the offseason, the biggest Texans need, they got to work on their offensive line. They got to get that run game better. I know Devin Singletary played well. Damian Pierce got kind of put out of the rotation. Maybe look for another back, a little more power back, and get in the trenches. The offensive line needs some work. And while the defense played good, continue to build on that depth. Defensive line, linebackers. Will Anderson possibly can even win Defensive Rookie of the Year. He played well. You had Hankins playing well at that defensive tackle spot, but you need to add some pieces. And they're not far away. AFC is pretty tough. Of course, you're going against Pat Mahomes, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, those guys. That's pretty damn tough. But going forward, this Texans team is still going to be okay. They're very young. They got some pieces. All it is now is continue to build on that. I expect them to be back in the playoffs next year, especially in the AFC South, where Jacksonville has got a lot of questions. Indianapolis Colts questions. We'll see how their rookie quarterback bounces back. And I'm not too worried. Tennessee Titans, you don't really know what their QB situation, Levis, is going to work out for them. Anthony Richardson could possibly work out in Indy. He got hurt too much, and then was out for the year. This played kind of reckless at the QB position. He found out real quick. So we'll see what those teams have coming in the store for him next year. But CJ Stroud, this guy is going to be a star. Great quarterback. Great things to come for this team. Now the next one. Packers-Niners. Niners win 24-21. Aaron Jones, 108 rushing yards. Packers ran the ball on him. Brock Purdy only threw for 252 and a touchdown. They escaped with this win. There was a missed field goal in there. A couple other missed opportunities. Jordan Love, 194 yards, 2 TDs. He did throw those 2 interceptions, including that horrific one to end the game. Throw the ball out of bounds, live another day. But that being said, Niners advance didn't look too great. They may have lost Deebo Samuel. He may not play next week. Jordan Love and his Green Bay team, they're young, man. This is Jordan Love's. I'm not going to knock him for everything on here. I'm not going to be criticized. Oh, Jordan Love didn't make this play or that play. The kid played good. First full year as being a starter. You got that young crew on the wide receiver. They're all rookies. They're all new or second-year players. Like Christian Watson's going to be back. Jaden Reed, Wicks, Melton, the 2 tight end Musgrave, Kraft. Come on, man. You got to give this team a lot of credit. They're really young. First experience in there. And that defense came along. For some reason, their defense doesn't play good in the regular season, but it plays pretty damn good in the postseason. And honestly, they really should have won this game, but should have, would have, could have. They didn't capitalize on key moments to take the game away from San Francisco, and they failed. But good season. I expect them to get back to this point again next year. It seemed like they're always on the break even with Aaron Rodgers there. They're still kind of was the same team. Now Jordan Love took over, got kind of the same result. So they got to figure this out to be more consistent, especially on the defensive side of the ball. But this offense, another year with all of them working together in the Matt LaFleur system, they may have to look into another running back. But I like the other kid that was playing. So Green Bay, I think, is in a very good spot, very good position to come back and battle next year. We'll have to deal with the Detroit Lions again. But NFC North, I expect them to be competitive in it. And I expect them to compete for a wild card spot again next year if everything goes right. They just have to be decent on the, and they got personnel on defense as well. Jair Alexander is a beast. They got other, key pieces, across the, in the defensive front area and stuff. Kane Clark and stuff. So this Green Bay team's not going anywhere. They just got to get consistent. They got to get better. They got to get more aggressive. And I expect them to be back as well. All right, let's hop into the next one. Another, QB to this keeps getting disrespected. He lost, but he played damn good. Lions defeated the Bucks 31-23. Goff 287, 2 TDs. Guess Detroit still loves him, right? Guess Dan Campbell still loves him. Congratulations to the Lions getting to the NFC Championship game. It's kind of unheard of. Hasn't happened in over 30 years, but it's happening. And Forest Field was bananas. But Baker Mayfield went bananas too. 349 passing, 3 TDs, 2 picks. That one that kind of sealed the deal. He was making a comeback. Another one at the end of the game. He just kind of sealed the deal. So going forward, this Bucks team and Baker Mayfield, hey man, like you did all right. You did what you could. Mike Evans, the guy I think he's a free agent. They got to sign him to a new deal, whatnot. He's been very, very consistent for them. Only receiver that get 1,000+ yards every year. I mean, it's like a given. First 9 years in the league, you do that. Nobody else has done that. He's on Jerry Rice level, so he needs to start getting the respect he deserves as well. But going forward, this Buccaneers team has a lot to do, especially on defense. I think they got to shore up that area as well. Devin White's not getting any playing time at linebacker. It was kind of disappointing. This side of Baker Mayfield's coming back or not. I think he deserves it. I think he played pretty damn good. And going to the Lions, they get to go to at San Francisco. Jared Goff gets to go home, play a lot of, because we play college ball out there. So Jared Goff, is getting some hometown credit out there. It'll be an exciting NFC Championship game. And I'm happy for Detroit to finally get there. It's going to be an exciting one. It's going to be an exciting NFC Championship game. And again, going back to the Bucks going forward, they got a lot of things to kind of do this offseason, but I expect them to be back in this NFC South. I think it's still up for grabs. Depending on what Atlanta does at the QB position, the Saints, Derek Carr, is that really your answer? And Carolina is pretty abysmal right now. I don't know what that owner's doing with them and what they're trying to do to that franchise. No idea, because I don't think Bryce Young is it. So they could run it back with Baker Mayfield, and this adds some more pieces to this team. And you never know. They could be back with NFC South. I expect them to be competitive for it. Don't have to be too competitive. It's got to finish above 500, because that's what they did, 9-8. That's all you got to do. So I expect them to do that again next year. Now the hop on the game we all wanted to see and watch, the Pat Mahomes versus Josh Allen. They did it again. Mahomes, so he only had 215 yards. They won the game 27-24. 2 TDs. Kelce came back with 2 TDs. The Bills, Josh Allen, 186 passing touchdown. Had 12 rushes for 72 yards and 2 TDs. Seemed like he was just better off this running the ball for some reason. Couldn't complete a pass down the field. What are the Bills doing? That's my biggest takeaway from this game. What were you doing? Especially in the fourth quarter, you took like 8 minutes off the clock, running it, getting the ball down. You didn't want to happen like last time where you got 13 seconds. Mahomes still beat you. You didn't want that to happen in the game, but then your time management kind of screwed you in the end. But Josh Allen, I think he only completed 2 passes over 5 yards in this game, if I remember correctly here. I don't have that stat in front of me, but I'm pretty sure that was the case. But the most glaring stat of it all, Stephon Diggs, 3 catches, 21 yards. What happened to him? Especially the latter half of the year. He wasn't involved. We'll see if the offseason comes with that. They move on from Stephon Diggs. Try and find a trade partner with him. I think they have to. But then you really have a glaring need at wide receiver. They need to add a couple wide receivers to this group. I think the tight end they're set is set with Knox. They drafted Dalton Kincaid. James Cook's a great back. Started using him. It's amazing how you start utilizing your running backs and what they can do. Thank you, Joe Brady, I guess, for that and becoming the offensive coordinator. So we'll see how he improves on that going forward. He got a full offseason to really do what he wants to do in the offensive coordinator spot. Bills, they're always going to contend. But the glaring factor here is they've lost 3 years in a row in the divisional round. This is your time. You're beat the Chiefs in the regular season, but now you're 0-3 against them in the postseason. This is a rivalry. Josh Allen, you got to step up even more in the postseason to beat Pat Mahomes. You had the opportunity this time because you finally got it at home and you still lost. So we'll see what the Bills do in this offseason. Yeah, I know they were down some key players on defense. They were without Gabe Davis, the wide receiver on offense. I don't know if that really had anything to do with them losing the game. I don't think it did. But to me, it's making the plays when it matters. And they haven't been able to do it in the playoffs. They got rid of the OC. They got rid of the DC. Are they going to get rid of the head coach next? Do you have to kind of get a new voice in there to try something? Because Josh Allen has a heck of a lot of talent. And now he's going to get kicked in on his extension. He's going to be counting against $47 million next year. So you had your window to really win with him and build your team around him. Now going forward, I know that NFL GMs, they always find out to work a way. Hey, convert his salary cap hit to a signing bonus and kind of put money more used down the road or whatever. But that's a glaring issue going forward because his contract extension kicks in next year. $47 million counts against the cap. Now you're not going to be able to maybe sign a lot of those guys that were around him, complimentary players to be around him. So that'll be an interesting thing to see what they do this offseason when it comes to that. And what they're going to do with Stephon Diggs. Because I expect Stephon Diggs wants out and to move on. But hey, man, 21 yards in the critical playoff game is unacceptable to me. But glaring, alarming effect there. All right, there we go. We got some NBA talk to finally get to you guys. Miami Heat made a trade. It's not the wild trade that, hey, it's not Dame Lillard. It's not Bradley Beal. It's not Donovan Mitchell. You know, all the rumors that struck out Miami Heat did. So, but I like it. They acquired Terry Rozier from Charlotte guards, and they got rid of Kyle Lowry's crazy contract and his production, and also gave the Charlotte Hornets 2027 first round pick. So in return, he gets Terry Rozier, which is, I love the move. I feel like it's like, it should have made this deal 2 years ago. I remember vouching for Terry Rozier. He was part of that Boston trade, remember, with Kemba Walker signed a trade deal some years back, and he went to Charlotte. So, been a complimentary player for them, been balling. He's a baller. This year, he's averaging 23 points per game, 6 assists. He's 29 years old. He's turning 30 here and coming up in a couple of months. Age isn't a factor when it comes to him. He's still playing great. And he fits the Miami Heat culture perfect. Like I said, I wanted this trade like 2 years ago. But the Heat didn't do this. They kind of kept their guys, added some veteran pieces even last year. And it's like, come on, man. We need another scorer. You need another guy that can get his own shot. You need another guy to take the ball up the court. Because that's what really happened last year, especially when Tyler Hero was hurt. They didn't have that guy. A couple years ago in the NBA Finals, they didn't have that guy. Now, I think he would be a very great complimentary player for Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo when it comes crunch time and you need somebody that gets a shot off the dribble. And it's not them like running the point, kind of like a point forward and point center motion, which they do a lot. This will help out extremely. I love the move. Some people may be like, oh, yeah, it's just Terry Rozier. It's not a big splash. Miami Heat usually make a big splash, They struck out on Dame Lillard. They struck out on Bradley Beal. They tried to get Donovan Mitchell. That didn't work. And Terry Rozier is perfect to me. Now, it's the only thing I can say, it may be a little messy in the backcourt because Tyler Hero plays the same kind of way. But having him, now you got people that can score. And that's been Miami Heat's biggest problem. It's just kind of, they play great defense. Terry Rozier is not the best defender, but he's definitely going to be able to help you out in the scoring department. And that's what they need come playoff time, because there were so many times where they just went stagnant and they had relied so much on Jimmy Butler getting buckets for him that he was just so exhausted by the end of the game. Dude couldn't move. He had nothing left in the tank. So this move is really going to help out with that. Having him go with Hero, go with Butler, go with Adebayo. Terry Rozier doesn't have to run the point all the time, but it will really help set up these other guys. And he can shoot the ball, obviously, from three. He can shoot from all over. He has crazy athletic talent. He can get to the hole. And I love this move. I love it for the Heat because he fits in with the culture. And Jimmy Butler, with him, he's really going to like him playing alongside him. Put it that way. Can't wait to see it, because they're kind of, the Miami Heat are kind of in that second tier. You got Boston up there. You got Milwaukee. New York Knicks are playing some great ball. And Miami Heat are just kind of hanging around in that other second tier with them, the Pacers, whatnot. And, Pacers made that move for Pascal Siakam. So they're trying to get, paired him with Halliburton. Miami Heat, about time he made a move. About time it worked. Right? So you get a player going to be on the books for the next couple of years. Your luxury tax is actually going down by getting rid of Kyle Lowry's contract. Yes, it was expiring. Yes, he had to throw in a first-round pick for the deal. That's going to be good for Charlotte to help their rebuild. And they're going to probably try and swing Kyle Lowry because he's on an expiring deal. That's, a lot of teams look for that to get the money off the books. So great for both sides to do this, because Charlotte ain't going anywhere. I think they only have 10 wins on the season. So they're going nowhere. I'm happy Terry Rozier gets to come to the Miami Heat, be paired up with Jimmy Butler and Bam and Tyler Hero and all the guys, and be effective. Duncan Robinson's playing some good ball lately too. So, of course, you got Caleb Martin, and you got depth now. In case somebody does get hurt, you got somebody else. So I love the move, and we'll see what keeps going forward with it and how it plays out, and leading up to the All-Star game and leading up down in the seeding as the season carries on here, and see how it turns out. I expect big things. I expect Miami Heat to really contend now. May not match up very well. I guess they kind of do. They do and they don't, because Boston is really a tough matchup. But and so is Milwaukee to an extent, and the 76ers. How can I forget about the 76ers and Joel Embiid? I mean, the guy is playing. He's going to get the MVP this year. So those are the top three teams in the East. And Miami is in that 4, 5, 6 seed, really in that 5th, 6th seed kind of range. So we'll see how this move can help them especially come postseason. But anyways, let's get in the Milwaukee Bucks. They fired their head coach. 43 games in, the guy is 30-13. Adrian Griffin gone. Why is he gone? Well, I'll tell you why he's gone. Because they have one of the worst defenses in the league. And a lot of that has to do with their trade. Acquiring Dame Lillard in the offseason, and not the offseason, but in the beginning of the year, and giving up Drew Holiday. Now, this Bucks team, you have Brook Lopez, former Defensive Player of the Year, right? Giannis, former Defensive Player of the Year, right? The problem is the perimeter defense. Drew Holiday took care of a lot of that, and they took care of the back end. So now you got Dame, who doesn't really play very good defense. Yeah, he can score. Yeah, maybe Dame time coming about 2-3 seconds left in the game, he puts up a shot, right? But it's the defensive side. Last year, the Bucks were ranked 4th in defense. This year, the 22nd. And now I think this month in January, they're letting up about 125 a game. That's the franchise worst in their history. Over 125 a game, I think it is now. So that's why they made this move. Kind of sucks for him because you didn't make that trade. You didn't put this together like this. Like, you kind of had to, he was the head coach. Dame Lillard wasn't a part of the team yet. They fired Budenholzer last year. Now they already fired him. And the rumor is they're going to try and leave for Doc Rivers. Let me tell you something, Milwaukee. If you get Doc Rivers, you're going to be out in the Eastern Conference Championship round. You ain't going to the finals, man. He's guaranteed you a loss in the Eastern Conference Finals. So let's say it's just you and the Celtics. Well, Celtics moving on. If it's you and the Sixers moving on. If it's going to be you and the Miami Heat are going to move on. Like, that's how Doc Rivers operates. I don't know why he's the leading candidate, because he's a veteran coach. Hey, I can handle star players, but you're going to get bounced in the Eastern Conference Finals if you hire Doc Rivers. So whatever you want to do, Milwaukee, it's probably going to happen like that. I don't know, but that's just the rumor mill. If you do that, well, good luck to you. Dame ain't going to play defense any better than he is right now. You're still 30-13, second overall in the Eastern Conference for the seeding. So you're just going to have to outscore everybody, and they can do that because Bobby Portis can play defense too. That's why I don't really understand why they're so bad at defense. The only thing it has to really have to do with head coaching. Maybe this a little bit, but damn. Players, you got to start taking accountability. This hasn't happened since the Cavs when, they fired David Blatt and LeBron went and fired and blah, blah, blah. And wanted Ty Lue to be the coach and, the history. So maybe the move propels him. Maybe Doc is the answer and it turns around. I don't know. I don't have any trust in it, but see what happens. And that's how we're going to wrap up the show. I thank you all for joining me here on Sports Talk from the Crib with your favorite sports host, Tanner Christian. Remember, new episodes are airing every Tuesday and Friday. It's available on all streaming platforms, as well as on the website at sportstalkfromthecrib.com. Be sure to follow us on social media. We're on Facebook, Instagram, X, and YouTube. So go subscribe and follow on those platforms. Thank you all for joining me. Enjoy your day. Catch you all on Friday. Peace.